like clock. I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop.
Boruto Chapter 51 was literally a series-altering chapter, and of course, definitely one of the best chapters of all time. And of course, I feel like every time that I talk about a Boruto chapter, I don't even need to tell you guys if it's good or not. I just need to tell you guys how I feel about it. But regardless, the biggest draw to this chapter was, of course, Naruto's brand new form. If you guys want to call it a power-up, that's what it was. But it turns out that the power-up that Naruto did actually have has a very huge drawback. Well, Kurama said that this form is basically a do or die form. If Naruto did enter this form, he would most likely die after accessing his power, and Naruto basically didn't even hesitate. He understood exactly what he wanted to do, and of course, just the overall aura in the air, the overall tension, it just felt like Naruto was actually built for this moment. And he basically told Kurama he was ready for this moment the day he decided to become a Hokage. Absolutely insane. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys out there probably teared up at this point. I'm a G, so I didn't necessarily tear up or anything like that. Now, the biggest part about this whole situation of this question is going to be, is Naruto actually in fact going to die? Now, I do want to point out there is definitely a glimmer of hope, man, because when Kurama was actually talking about this, there is a little bit of an uncertainty in Kurama's voice. It basically seemed like Kurama didn't really know if this form was actually going to kill Naruto. I do want to point out he definitely did definitively say that if he does use this form, he is going to die. But before that, he was kind of unsure. It was like he never really used this form before. So there is a tiny bit of glimmer of light. And not only that, there is that possibility that if Naruto doesn't die, there is the possibility that Sasuke can actually use a Rinne rebirth to potentially bring Naruto back to life. But just the overall fact that Naruto basically didn't even really hesitate to give his life to protect the whole village was definitely a very good scene. I thought it was like a 10 out of 10 scene. And of course, if Naruto does die in this particular situation, I really can't tell you guys what I'm gonna feel. Of course, I'm not necessarily like a diehard Naruto fan or anything like that, but what we understand is that Naruto is basically the heart and soul of the series. Naruto is the main character, and of course, Masashi Kishimoto, the creator of Naruto himself, gave the Boruto riders the green light, the ultimate green light to kill off anybody that they want to do. And we all knew a potential situation or a potential scene like this was going to come. We all seen it on the horizon, especially from chapter 1 when Kawaki told Boruto that he was going to send him to meet the 7th. That right there was basically foreshadowing for potentially this moment right here. Is this going to be the scenario where Naruto actually does die? And not only that, could this possibly be a situation where Sasuke does also give his life to actually bring Naruto back to life? Isshiki in this chapter seemed absolutely insane. We understand that Isshiki was heartless from the beginning, but Isshiki in this chapter seemed to have a more serious tone. And Boruto even pointed out, mainly because when Boruto basically told Isshiki that he understood that he couldn't really kill him, Boruto pointed out that Isshiki got a little bit more serious. Now, the heavy theory as to why Isshiki couldn't actually kill Boruto was because Isshiki is an otsutsuki member, and he does also classify Boruto as an otsutsuki member. And what we know from Isshiki and Tonari's interactions is the fact that otsutsuki members are not necessarily allowed to kill other otsutsuki members. But it seemed like that right there wasn't holding Isshiki back. What it looks like right now is that Isshiki wants to sacrifice Boruto, feed him to the tentails so that he can actually grow a god tree. A huge bombshell was dropped in this chapter. It's the fact that you actually need to sacrifice an otsutsuki member to actually grow a god tree. Now, we've seen an extremely weird scene early on in the Boruto manga when we first found out that Isshiki actually had a tentails. This is back when Sasuke actually infiltrated an otsutsuki dimension and Isshiki entered right after him, and he was speaking to a tentails. Now, during that time, Isshiki is basically saying like, hey, I'm gonna have you eat me, but just not right now. Absolutely no one really knew what Isshiki was talking about, but now we actually find out. After that, we finally got to see basically the savage Isshiki. As I said, he was extremely serious. He completely broke Boruto's arm in the midst of everything when Boruto basically tried to protect Sasuke. He basically stepped on Boruto as well and basically sounded like he cracked a couple of ribs. And don't even get me started about what he did to Sasuke in this situation. He pretty much destroyed Sasuke. Another interesting thing that I do want to talk about is, of course, the appearance of Momoshiki and, of course, the Karma Seal. We did not see Momoshiki appear, and of course Boruto did not access the Karma Seal. This was a very heavy theory for almost everybody coming into this battle, and especially coming into this particular chapter right here. We understood that Naruto and Sasuke themselves basically stood almost no chance against Isshiki mainly because Isshiki in his suppressed state in the body of Jigen basically handled Naruto and Sasuke. So for them to have a scintilla of a chance of beating Isshiki, we would have to see Boruto step up to the plate, utilize the Karma Seal, and basically possibly go to momoshiki levels to basically help Naruto and Sasuke out. It seems like we didn't get any of that. Boruto has yet to actually utilize the Karma Seal in this battle. This chapter is going to be largely about Naruto's power up, Naruto's form and everything like that, and potentially Naruto actually dying in the next chapter of Boruto. But not seeing Boruto utilize the Karma Seal, not seeing Momoshiki even care about Boruto at this particular point is definitely surprising. I could have sworn not only was Boruto going to potentially use the Karma Seal, but potentially even have the Jougan pop up in this chapter. And of course, there's definitely still a window of that actually happening, especially with the fatality of Naruto or even Sasuke looming. There might be a situation where Boruto starts to see their life fading away, and then Boruto, of course, inevitably goes on a rage and then utilizes the Karma Seal and then the Jougan. But I'm just going to tell you guys right now, I definitely did not expect Boruto to kind of be more or less a bystander to this. And of course, I do want to commend Boruto, man, because Boruto was definitely willing to put his life on the line to protect the Hidden Leaf Village. Boruto in this chapter basically said that he would actually kill himself if Isshiki Otsutsuki came closer. He understood that all of Isshiki Otsutsuki's plans would pretty much be foiled if Boruto would then take his own life. And I don't really want to understate the importance of that, man, because coming into this whole battle right here, Sasuke basically asked Boruto a question like, hey, would you give your life for the village? And Boruto seemed like he was a little bit stuck, but it seemed like in this particular situation that Boruto actually was willing to do so. Now we don't really know if he was actually going to go through with it or not, but it seemed like Boruto is actually understanding that this right here is the type of battle where you have to make those types of decisions. And Boruto even said it. Boruto basically said, and of course I'm paraphrasing, to actually be in a battle such as this, he was prepared to lose his life. Another thing that I do want to talk about is one of the scenes that I was paying extremely close attention to is the scene where Kawaki was pretty much grilling Amado, basically talking about how this situation right here is absolutely horrible, and of course this right here could possibly all be a part of Amado's plan. Hey, he probably wanted Naruto and Sasuke out of the picture, and Amado still, we have no idea, could potentially be like an undercover ninja working with Isshiki Otsutsuki, and potentially fooled Kashin Koji as well. We have no idea at this particular point, but what Amado's trying to sell us is the fact that he was absolutely desperate. Now we understand against a character like Isshiki Otsutsuki, even Isshiki Otsutsuki in his weakened state in the body of Jigen is extremely strong, and of course Isshiki Otsutsuki is extremely calculated. What Amado is basically telling us is that he's seen a tiny window and he jumped through that window. Now I have to tell you guys, I can't necessarily blame Amado for that if that's exactly how he feels. I just have this feeling in my gut that Amado is too smart of a character to take that level of a risk, even though he understood that it probably would not come out good for him. He even said in this chapter that it was a very small chance that Naruto and Sasuke would be able to beat Isshiki Otsutsuki. I even want to point out, and I have to continuously point this out, when Amado originally came to the Hidden Leaf Village, he thought to himself that Naruto was already dead. So this plan was literally going to commence, and the final stand was going to be Sasuke versus Isshiki Otsutsuki 1v1. And we all knew how that right there was definitely going to turn out. And of course, this situation right here might turn out the exact same way, but it just seems extremely unreasonable that Amado would pull this, especially if he thought that Naruto was not going to be around to even help Sasuke in defeating Isshiki Otsutsuki. It just doesn't necessarily make any sense to me. I also want to give a huge shout out to Sumire in this chapter as well. Sumire basically showed her deductive skills, but not only that, I know a lot of Sada fans at that particular scene was completely cringing and didn't want Sumire being in that particular situation. But hey, I do want to know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. And of course, chapter 51 was a potential series altering chapter. It was definitely one of those chapters that you guys talk about years and years to come. And of course, the craziest thing to even say is that chapter 52 is supposed to be even better than this chapter. Let me know what you guys think about this chapter below, and of course give me your opinions about Naruto's form. Do you guys think that Naruto's actually gonna die? Do you guys think that there's a possibility of Sasuke actually using the Rinne Rebirth to bring Naruto back to life? Now of course I do want to talk to you guys about this. I already made a video talking about Sasuke using the Rinne Rebirth, and if Sasuke would actually survive the Rinne Rebirth. That was literally the first thing that came to mind after reading the chapter, so I had to make that video. I'm probably gonna upload that video tomorrow or the day after I upload this video, but let me know what you guys think. It's me, your boy Baara, and we out.
It's a knife.